Hi, Kiana.
Hey, girl.
So you are sitting down tonight, and
Yes,
we're going to
I
be talking
am.
about your fertility preservation journey.
I'm a little nervous about
Yeah.
talking about it, but yeah, I'm here.
Okay.
We can get into it.
Okay.
I want to be able to be a resource so that people know, what my experience was, and hopefully it can inspire some other women that are going through it or want to go through it, right? I don't feel
Yeah.
like in our community we talk about it enough. I don't feel like we know about it for real. The risks, the cost, the just everything. And then I also have noticed that there are black men that are interested in knowing what we're talking about and
Mhm.
they really have no clue. So I feel like this is like an opportunity for us to do that.
Yeah.
So,
Okay. So let's get into it then.
okay.
Why did you decide to freeze your eggs?
Okay, so that's kind of a multi-pronged answer, right? So, um, I'm 35. I'm about to be 36 around the corner. That thing is around the corner.
Yeah.
And for me, it was like, okay, I'm big on family. I want to have a family, right?
Mhm.
But I'm also a little bit more traditional than probably some others in the sense that I want to have a husband first. I want to be able to enjoy time with my husband without feeling the pressure of let me hurry up and have children today. And I think that society puts unnecessary pressure on us to try to have kids within a certain time frame. And then we also have, father time is real. And oftentimes our bodies start to have a decline in our ovarian reserve after age 35. And so the reality is, if I want to have a family and I want to be able to bear my own kids and hopefully not have complications or give myself the best alternative right now, then okay, let me go and freeze my eggs if I'm in a position to do so. Now it's expensive. I'm not gonna hold you. That's not no cheap thing.
Yeah. And we're going to talk about the
So,
costs
right. I'm not
associated
gonna
with
play you
it.
into thinking
Yeah.
that it's not costly. Is you gonna run a check trying to pay for these eggs? So that's why I chose to. I mean, I'm not married. I'm single. So for me, it's like, okay, what can I control right now? I can control the ability to preserve my eggs now, and then in the future, me and my husband can make a decision on whether or not we want to do it naturally, which I'm all
Mhm.
for, or if we want to do it, through
Yeah.
artificial
Well, let's talk
insemination.
about that. Do it naturally. Just because you froze your eggs, does
Hmm.
that mean um, it affected your fertility? Talk a little
No,
bit more about that.
meaning my ability to get pregnant.
Yeah.
No. So okay, so every woman has an ovarian reserve when they're born. Okay, however many eggs you were born with is what you have for the duration of your life. Okay, and
Yeah.
so every once you start having your cycle, every time you have a cycle, there is a release of an egg. And what people don't understand is that your body produces a certain amount of follicles each month, and only one of those follicles normally produces to become an actual mature egg naturally. And so during ovulation, that egg is maturing, and then when your cycle comes, it's released, right? If it's not fertilized in the womb. And so with fertility preservation, you are taking as many follicles as you can and you're trying to mature those follicles to become mature eggs during that one cycle. So if I had like my baseline, and we'll talk about baseline and all of that soon, but my baseline, the first time I did my blood work was 33, right? 33 follicles for that one cycle. So, with that in mind, I had the potential to mature 33 eggs potentially if the medication worked to that degree. So ultimately, my body produced 32 follicles when I actually did the procedure, and they were able to freeze 18 of those eggs that were actually healthy, right? But I'm still just as fertile now as I was beforehand, because the very next cycle that I had, my body hit reset and I was able to produce a normal 1 egg. And, you know, I've had like 3-4 cycles since then. So I'm still fertile, myrtle girl. I can get pregnant tomorrow.
Okay. So let's break that down a little bit more about your process, right?
Okay.
So, you know, you decided at the ripe age of 35 that you were going to freeze your eggs. So, for those that are out there and want to understand better about the process, like steps, like can you kind of give us some high level steps of what you went through?
Oh my God. So when you say steps, do you mean like medication? Do you mean the blood work? Do you mean the mental, the physical, the
We're
spiritual?
gonna get into
Like it's so much.
yeah.
So I need to know what's,
Yeah.
because it's a lot. This is
So
a
your
process.
yes. So I woke up one day and decided I was going to have a consultation.
Okay. So let me go back to my 20s then. In my 20s, I was living my best life, and I think I was 20, so I'm 35 right now. I think I might have been 27, 28, something like that. And my gynecologist was like, listen, Kiana, you talking about having all these kids, and you ain't got no man. And she was like,
Maybe a slight problem. Yeah.
she was like, the math ain't mathin'.
Yeah.
I'm going to give you this brochure so that you can go ahead and freeze your eggs. And I was in complete denial. I was like, nah, girl, I'm going to be married in a couple years. Like, I'm dating, I'm good, whatever, you know. And I was like, I don't need this stuff. Like, I'm not about to be freezing no eggs, and it's way too much money, and I don't really feel like reading up on this, and I'm not going to have surgery when I'm fertile, blah, 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 blah. So I kept the brochure, right? And it started to get into my subconscious. And then by my 30th birthday, it hit. And I was like, oh, shit. And I was like, okay. I was dating relatively seriously around that time frame, right? With someone or whatever. But even still, I was like, I don't know if this is my husband. And I had the option to have a child. I did not want to have a child outside of wedlock. And so for me, it was like, okay, maybe I should start to take this serious and consider. But again, I'm 35 now. This was 5 years ago.
Yeah.
And even still, I was like, nah, I'm good. I'm going to just wait a little longer. You know, by the time I turned 33, I had been saving up money and things for major investments that I was starting to make. And I was in a relationship at that time that was a very serious relationship. And, you know, that ended up not working out for a multitude of reasons. And I was like, you know what? I really want to take this egg preservation, fertility preservation thing serious. Now, let me do some research. And so by now the brochure probably has been burned, thrown out in the trash, who knows. But I started to do my own intentional research, right? Okay. So I was like, okay, let me talk to my gyno. And I have a newer gyno at that time. And she was like, Kiana, like, you really should do this. This would be great for you. You know, there are a lot of Black women that don't know about it, so let me give you the information, the resources you need. And she did. And the more I started to research it, the more I felt comfortable with my decision to move forward. I specifically wanted to have a Black doctor, right? That was my preference. Everybody's got their preferences. That was my preference. And I wanted to be a Black female because I do think that there are certain fears that we have and certain levels of comfortability that we have specifically with someone we can identify with, right? When we can't identify, that fear starts to increase. Are they going to take care of my body? Are they going to do something to me when I'm under anesthesia? Are they going to preserve the right amount of eggs? Are they going to give me the care that I deserve? All these different things. And so for me, I was researching someone that I felt like would take care of me.
Okay.
Right? So that was kind of the beginning of the journey.
Okay. And then you found a doctor.
I did.
That you like.
I like her a lot. Yeah.
And you started the process. And I want you to take us a little bit more through the process before we start talking about the day-to-day.
Okay.
How much did it cost?
So egg preservation can range you anywhere between $10,000 on the low end to about 20 grand on the higher end. It depends on your health, right? Your ovarian reserve. So how many eggs do you normally have in your vault, right? And what type of medications they have to give you.
Okay.
Right? So I'll give you that range.
Did your insurance cover it?
No.
It was out of pocket.
I had to save, child, and I ran a check. Okay.
Okay.
Because the thing is, like, in other states, you can have more coverage. So I think in Maryland, I want to say California, I researched a couple. There are several states that will cover insurance-wise for your fertility preservation. Georgia ain't one of them. Georgia needs to get it together because Georgia ain't covering these eggs. So you're going to have to pay that out your pocket, and that shit is not cool. So, yeah. So I had to save for mine. I have a girlfriend. So Illinois does cover some. And it also depends on what your health situation is too, right? For me, so most insurance companies will cover a part, if not all, of your fertility preservation if you have some type of chronic disease. Say you have cancer or something like that, right? And that disease would hinder you from being able to be fertile.
Yeah.
I'm fortunate not to have a chronic disease, so that wasn't the case for me, right? But that also means I have to pay.
Okay. So, so you had started this journey. You knew, at this age, okay, I want to do this now. You saved, you consulted, you found the OBGYN that you wanted to handle your case.
A fertility doctor.
Fertility
so
doctor.
My OBGYN is separate than my fertility doctor. They're two separate people.
Explain that.
So my fertility doctor is at a fertility clinic that focuses on egg preservation and fertility, your fertility journey, right? Artificial insemination, all things fertility, which is separate from my gyno, who I go and get a pap smear from annually and get my, STD panel and breast exam and all that other kind of stuff. So it's two different people. Okay. Now, my gyno recommended this doctor. And crazy enough, 3 different people had recommended this doctor to me. And that's how I kind of knew, like, none of them know each other. One of them was my line sister. One of them was my gyno. And another one was my therapist. And so at that point, I was like, let me research this chick and see what she's on. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, I'm hearing about you through the grapevine with trusted resources. Let me see, what are your credentials? Who are you for real? And I started looking, and I was like, this is a bad sister. She knows her stuff, and I said, okay, well, let me check her out. And then when I met with her, I really liked her bedside manner. She gave me all of the information that I needed at that moment. Now, I will say, you need to ask some very intentional questions if you're going to do this process. And I don't think I knew everything that I should have asked coming into it. Right? There's a lot that I learned along the way, and it's a part of the reason why I wanted to have this conversation, because there's certain shit that you just don't fucking know, and you don't even know what to ask. And your doctors are going to give you like this fluff cake, high level, let me tell you, blah, 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 but they're not going into it to the depth of what I really feel like you need to feel prepared.
So let's talk about that more. So now you're starting the process. What did you have to do?
Medication wise, right?
Yeah, or like, okay, so doctor, we're here. I'm ready to start the process.
So, okay. So I did my first round of blood work May of last year. And when I did that, it was to see what they test for your AMH and your FSH, right? And these determine what your ovarian reserve is. So it's blood work that they're doing, blood tests to say, okay, do you have PCOS or not? You know, what's the probability of you having a baby? How fertile are you? Mm-hmm. Based upon those results, and mine were within normal ranges, so I was fortunate there. They then say, okay, we recommend you for this plan or this plan or that plan, right? Mm-hmm. And so we kind of walk through what those 3 different plans could look like in terms of what medications I would take and how much it would cost me. Yeah. For me at that time, and I also found out what my baseline was, and baseline means what your number of follicles are at the time when you do your blood work for that cycle, right? So for me at that time, my baseline was 33, mm-hmm. which is a really great high number. And a lot of women are not fortunate enough to have a baseline that high at my age, right? But I had to leave. I had to go to Africa for work for a period of time. And so I had to put pause on my journey and then wait until I came back to kind of start over. And when I started over, my baseline was a little lower. It was at 28, which I was kind of disappointed. I was sad. This process is so emotional. It weighs on your spirit and your soul, and like it's a holistic process. There's things that are very inspiring about it, but there's also things that are very real and you have to sit with, right, as a woman. And so I was a little sad that my count had gone down, because I was like, that also means my probability has gone down some, at least for this cycle. So we did the blood work again. And then they told me the list of medications I would have to take. So I was on, I would have to do injections into my stomach, which I don't do needles. Okay. I don't do needles. I don't do finger pricks. I don't do I'm not giving nobody no blood, none of that. So when you're trying to tell me that I have to give myself a shot, and the way they pitched it to me, girl, they sent me off. They were like, oh, you're just going to have to do a little small injection with a little insulin type prick shot, and you'll be fine. Not you're going to do 4 injections in your abdomen that you have to give to yourself every day for an extended period of time, which was roughly 2 weeks. Okay. That wasn't what I had in my mind, and I wish that I had known that beforehand. Also, I'm not on birth control. I haven't taken birth control for almost 10 years. I don't like the way it makes my body feel. I'm really a proponent of natural things, right? Wrap it up, and I'm a natural type of chick. So for me, having to start taking birth control to set my body on whatever routine they wanted it to be, to then predict when I would need to do my trigger shot and have my surgery, that's a part of the process. The process probably was a little over a month, I'd say, a month or so. So I was on the birth control for maybe 10 to 14 days. And once they took me off of the birth control, then I had to have a cycle, right? And then I started the injections. And so I had Follistim, Ganirelix, HCG every day for a period of time in the morning, and then I would take a different medication in the evening. And you have to time it. You cannot fuck around and miss your time. If it's 8 a.m. and 8 p.m., you stick with 8 a.m. and 8 p.m., not 8:30, not 10 o'clock, because it will mess up the whole routine, and you have to be very disciplined. Then Leprolide was my trigger shot, and your trigger shot is what you take within a 36 hour window before the procedure. So that's the medication side. The physical side of it all, my body responded really well to the medication. But, you know, when I started this process, my estrogen levels were pretty low. My estrogen levels were at like a 14, and it really depends on where you are in your cycle. Sometimes they're lower and higher, depending upon where you are in your cycle. That's natural.
Yeah.
But so a normal range for estrogen is between, I think it's 40 to 300 are normal numbers. And for me, starting at 14, by the time I was done and ready for my surgery, I was at 7,636. That's a very dangerous zone to be in. And I had what's called OHSS, so ovarian hyperstimulation syndrome, after my surgery.
Okay.
And so we'll get into that and things. Not everyone has that. Maybe, I don't know, I have to look up the data, but I think it's like 20% or something like that. Like, not everybody gets OHSS, but it is tough. It's a tough recovery, right? Do I regret my procedure? No. Do I regret my decision making? Not at all, because I had such success with it. But you have to be gentle and kind to your body.
So tell us about the day of your surgery.
Okay. So first let me leading up to the day of my surgery, because girl, I was tripping. I was super anxious. Okay. First off, when your estrogen is like a roller coaster, you are like crazy. I mean, and you are just not yourself. It's not that you're just not yourself. Let me just put it that way. Okay, you could watch
it's hormones.
Yeah, your hormones is just, you crazy as hell. And you could be watching a Charmin commercial, child, and one minute you're like laughing, and the next minute you're boohoo crying, and you're like, what the fuck is going on with me, right? And it's almost like cramming a pregnancy into this 2-week, almost a month-long process, and you are going through all of the emotions, and your body is going through all of the emotions, right? I peed every damn 30 minutes, okay? I was peeing like a racehorse. I gained weight, right? I was feeling like a blimpy. I was thick, child, chunky with it, right? In a short period of time, you're like, what the hell? I got little stretch marks coming. Like, where is this coming from? So you're going through all of that. My hair started growing like weeds, which I love. I was on prenatals, which were really good. Shout out to, what's it called? Therologic or Therologic, something like that. I'll have to post it later, but really great prenatals. But, you know, you're going to go through it as if you're pregnant, for real, not play. So they called me, so I had the surgery on that Monday. They called me, I think that Friday or something like that, and was like, hey, take your trigger shot on such and such day. I think it was Saturday at a certain time or something like that. And they were like, and then you're going to come and have your surgery Monday morning at this time, right? It was within whatever that 36-hour window was.
Okay.
And I was in so much discomfort, I could barely sleep.
Okay.
Because I had my stomach, I looked like I was 6 months pregnant, okay? I was super bloated, and at this point, so let me back up. You go to your doctor every 3 days for monitoring. So you're going to get blood work, and you're going to do an ultrasound every 3 days. And they are keeping you under close monitoring because they want to know how the medication is responding, and are you okay? Are you safe? You know, they want to make sure that you're staying healthy, and that's important. I was really big on keep me healthy. I'm not fucking around with my health or my vagina. Okay. So, every 3 days I was going back, and what they were seeing was that my ovaries were growing really, really big, to the point where they looked like two balloons that were like touching, right? So my stomach was big and I looked pregnant, so much that it was like I had back pain, I could barely sleep. It was a lot of discomfort. again, I had OHSS. I don't think that happens with everyone. I think some people may have discomfort, but maybe not to the degree that I did. And by the time she called me, she was like, hey, we're going to do your procedure, 8 a.m., blah, blah, blah. And I was like, okay, is everything okay? I'm freaking out and stuff. I'm just nervous. I was anxious.
Yeah.
The morning of, my mother came with me. And you have to have somebody come with you because they will put you under anesthesia. You cannot drive home after this. You are going to be knocked out. I did not feel a thing during the surgery. Thank you, Jesus. I didn't feel anything. I don't remember anything. What I remember, girl, I went in there. I was a little mean to the nurse, and I'm so grateful for her patience because I'm not the best patient. For me to work in like public health, I'm not the best patient in public health. And so I'm in there, and she had to do an IV through my wrist, and either my wrist or my hand. And again, I don't do needles. So I'm like, you can't put it in my arm, like whatever. And she was like, man, we have to do it in your arm, your wrist, whatever. So I'm complaining. She does it. I'm still complaining. And I'm like, you're going to have to give me some drugs. You're going to have to calm me down because I am not in a good space. And mind you, you have to be very, you can't take like Tylenol, BC powder, all that kind of stuff for your pain. You got to ride it out, right? So they were able to give me something to calm me, probably like a Valium or something, I don't know, like something to calm me the day of, but still I was coherent until I went into the room. By the time I went to the room, they sedated me, put me under anesthesia. I literally remember laying on the bed, and then I remember waking up trying to find my bonnet on my head, right? And the procedure was over. And I was like, where's my bonnet? Girl, yeah, I had to keep my hair cute. So I was like, where's my bonnet? Afterwards, right? And my mama came and got me, and, it was fine. The procedure really doesn't last that long. The procedure is maybe less than an hour. I think it was like 30 minutes, 45 minutes of you actually being under. You're not going to be under for longer than an hour most times.
Okay.
But it's everything that leads up to that, right? Your couple of weeks on birth control, then you having your cycle, then you going into the doctor every 3 days for the course of 2 weeks. You giving yourself 4 injections a day. Then within a 36-hour window, giving yourself a trigger shot, which is leprolide or whatever they're using. All of that is an intense process. And then the surgery. So that was kind of how the surgery went. My mother drove me home afterwards. They put me in a wheelchair, put me in a car, all that kind of stuff. And you are sore, right? And it's to be expected. Normally, a person would have like light cramping, almost like as if you're on your cycle. And you might want to rest for a day or two. And then normally you would be able to recover and, kind of go back to your normal situation. For me, it was a little different.
Okay, so talk about your recovery.
Okay. So, my recovery was tough. Again, I had OHSS, so Ovarian hyperstimulation syndrome. And I remember waking up and I was 6 pounds heavier overnight. And I was like, what the fuck, right? And they gave me this paperwork that said what OHSS is, and I read it and all the things. But when you're telling me, oh, you're probably not going to get that, I'm like, okay. And they had already given me a medication to help prevent it before my surgery called Cabergoline. And Cabergoline was supposed to help, titrate me off of some of the other medications and take my estrogen levels down and kind of balance things out to hopefully prevent me from getting the OHSS.
Okay.
I had a moderate to severe, I didn't have to get hospitalized, but high moderate case. And it would be like mild, moderate, severe, right? That's how you rate it. So for me, because my ovaries got so big, I don't remember if I had a fever or not. I slept so much. I was sweating a lot, so I probably did have a fever. But I was a lot of fluid retention, even though I was still urinating frequently and all that kind of stuff. You have to drink. I mean, I was drinking gallons and gallons of water a day. So the reality is, like, you have to flush everything out of your system. And my ovaries ended up getting fluid on them. So they had to do an ultrasound to check and see, like, did the fluid go to my kidneys? Did they go to my liver? Did it go anywhere outside of my ovaries, and make sure that it wasn't spreading? So I was a little scared about that, right? Fortunately for me, it didn't spread, but it was in my ovaries because of how many eggs I had in such a small period of time. When most people may not have anything but 3, 4, 5 eggs, and I got 19 and 32 follicles, that's a lot, right? Which is great. That's a great number. But it's also hard on your body when your body's accustomed to giving you 1 egg a month. So a lot of cramping. I was in so much pain I could barely get out of the bed. I called my mom. I called you. Told you come bring me a scale because I was like, girl, I think I'm getting big. I need you to come. I was like, something ain't right. And so I had to weigh myself like every 4 to 6 hours. I had to check my temperature every 4 to 6 hours, drinking a lot of fluid, cut out all salt and sodium, high protein diet to make sure I was getting the nutrients I needed for my body. It was intense. And my recovery was 6 weeks. So 6 weeks, no exercising, no type of sex, nothing, because you don't want to get any type of, what is it called? Torsions, I believe it is, of your ovary, where your ovary flips, or any type of ruptures if a cyst does form, which could be very dangerous for your life, right? It is a surgery, and this is a complication of the surgery, and this is one of the risks. And while this doesn't happen to everybody, it happened to me.
Yeah.
Right? And so I had to be kind to myself and take it easy. And you're talking to somebody, I like working out, I like to be active, I don't like being home in the bed all day. And I had to sit down. I couldn't really do much of anything and just chill for a while. Yeah.
So you talked about OHSS. You talked about your surgery, leading up to the surgery, afterwards, how much it costs. For women out there, the mental side, understanding that for a lot of women, you know, some of the commonalities, I would say, in general, are being married, being a mother.
Yeah.
So talk about the mental part of going through the process.
I think that it's a roller coaster, right? Just like pregnancy is a roller coaster and it's a beautiful process. I think this is also a beautiful process, but it is a roller coaster. And so there's anxiety when you first start it, when you're trying to figure out, one, where the hell is my money going to? Because it's a lot of damn money, okay? And can I trust this doctor?
Yeah.
And is this the doctor that's going to be doing my surgery and how you have a doctor doing your delivery when you're pregnant? You have a doctor that's doing your surgery, right? When you do your trigger shot, okay? Instead of you getting an epidural, you got a trigger shot. Like there's a lot of parallels here. My doctor that I had picked and had done this journey with was not the doctor that did my surgery. Similarly, there are a lot of women that go through a pregnancy and you have a doctor, and then when it comes time for you to deliver, that may not be your doctor that delivers your baby. And sitting with that that's an emotional journey, because you are trusting this person genuinely with your life. When you think about the high mortality rate of Black women through pregnancy, it is real, right? So you are putting your life in somebody's hands to deliver a baby, okay? So it's no different with this process, where I am putting my life in your hands, my fertility, because I'm not infertile. I chose to do this as a fertile woman to preserve my fertility and prolong options for myself. I'm putting my life in your hands, not only because I'm hoping that I don't die on the table, but also, am I still going to be fertile when I come out of this? Or are you going to mess some shit up, right? And then for me to go through this journey with one doctor and then find out like 2 days before, oh, that's not the doctor that's going to deliver or do my surgery. I was pissed off. A natural feeling. And so you got to ask in advance. And I asked in advance, but they really don't know because they're on this on-call type of thing. And schedule. And every fertility preservation company has their own way of doing it. Some will be on a schedule. Some will be the one doctor that you work with. Others won't. And so that's a question to ask.
So talk a little bit more about the support system. I heard you talk about your mom, but talk about the support system that women.
So I call it the fertility crew, right?
Yeah.
And so I had my fertility crew because I would not have been able to do without that, right? My sister, who also went through this process and has successfully had my nephew, right? Was a part of that, and I needed someone that had been through this, that had seen the success of a baby being born from it. That was important to me so I could have hope. You and being my best friend that I could call if I need to call you in the middle of the night because I'm having a moment, right? Hormones got me acting foolish. My mama and them, you know what I'm saying? Call my mama like, Mommy, I don't know what's going on. So I ain't rap tight right now.
Mama, I love you.
Right. Like, I ain't myself normally, because I'm such an even kill person. Like, I'm hella even kill and chill. It takes a lot to really piss me off. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, it takes a lot to make me be like super high and low. And I felt emotional about everything. And I was like, what is going on? You know? So I needed that handful of people, and not just females. I had males in my life too, because I needed men, and my preference was black men, to be a support system for me too, right? That platonic friends, not on some lover shit, but like, you got my back, and I need to talk to you. And them to be like, Kiana, you good, babe? Like, it's all good. Like, I got you, you know, or what you need, or let me bring you something to eat, or whatever the thing may have been, right? And plus, I was dealing with a lot of stuff with my house at that time. So, you know, I had people in my support system that had my back, and I needed that. I think that you need your village during this type of process for sure, because if you don't have that, it's difficult. This is not something to do in isolation. I do not recommend that at all. This is something to do with support of loved ones, of friends, of family. Damn, go on Facebook and find one of them little groups or something, them little communities. I tried to join one. I don't really like social media like that anyway, so it's get overwhelming. I was like, damn, this it ain't for me, but I'm gonna call my friends. Girl, they be talking too much. So, you know what I mean? Do what you need to, but find your kitchen crew, find your fertility crew, find your people that got your back, because you will be going through some emotional times and it won't feel familiar to you. Yeah. And at some point you're going to be like, damn, am I okay? Like, you know, I have a friend right now that's going through the process. It's crazy because after you go through the process, it's almost like you're a magnet for other people that want to go through it or are going through it. And so I have probably 6 or 7 people that have intimately been in my circle that are either in the process now, just finished it, or about to start it. Yeah. And one of them, you know, put me in her fertility crew, right? Another one asked me about OHSS because she was kind of like, I don't know if I'm experiencing that or not. Another one was like, hey, everything went fine. But just having somebody as a sounding board is very important.
So let's keep with that. There's a lot of women out there that are considering freezing their eggs and starting this journey. But, you know, there's stigma associated with it. There's a lot of things that people don't know or understand about it. Men may have questions. Women, of course, may have questions and may be thinking about going through this process. If I'm a woman listening to this who's thinking about, I'm at a point in my life where I do want to be a mother one day, and I really want to consider freezing my eggs, what would you say to them? Like, what would you say? And be Kiana. Like, I want you to keep it a buck.
Ask me that again.
For women that may be listening right now who have been considering this process, maybe a little on the edge of, I don't know if I should do it, I'm scared, or I'm not sure, or I want to wait, whatever their trepidation may be around it, what would you say to them?
I mean, this shit ain't no hoe. But it's worth it. You feel me? Like, this shit ain't no hoe, but it's worth it. For real. Like, I'm not going to send you off. I'm not going to be like, oh, girl, it's easy and do all of this and that and everything. No. I'm not about to send you off and then you calling me and you like, what the hell? No, it is tough. It is a process. It costs money. It's emotional. Your body's going to be doing all kind of things. Girl, afterwards, my nipples was chafed. I had to put cocoa butter on my nipples. You know what I'm saying? I was like, damn, I got new stretch marks that I hadn't had before. Like, my hair started shedding because it was growing wonderfully. And then all of a sudden, after the prenatals, then now I'm feeling bald head, scallywag. You know what I'm saying? The shit is real, right? But it's worth it because then it's like, now I've been able to set myself up for success and I have options and now I have more time because at the moment that you freeze your eggs are preserved at that time. So if I don't have kids until I'm 40, God forbid, but let's say like until I'm 40, then okay, you stupid. You stupid because I know what your face meant. But honestly, like, let's say I'm 40, right? And I don't have kids until then. Okay, my egg reserve is going to be different then. Maybe I'll have them naturally. Maybe I need to tap into that egg bank over there that I done set up. You feel me? And so...
Go into your savings.
Right, go into the savings, tap the 19 eggs one time and see what's up. And run me that egg real quick because the reality is now I have options and I can do that and I'm still having the same level. Honestly, the eggs will be healthier if I go do that than it would probably at me being 40 in terms of the youthfulness of my egg, right? And geriatric pregnancies do have a lot of risks to them where you have to sometimes do amniocentesis and all these other things.
Geriatric pregnancy is an outdated term.
What is it called now?
It's called advanced age.
That's what they call it. That's what they calling it now? I ain't heard of that before. That's what they call it.
Yes.
Girl, let me drink.
Geriatric.
But that's what it is.
I know it is.
Okay, yes. Advanced age. What is it? Advanced age pregnancy. You know what that mean though, like
geriatric.
You know, and like because it's like potential for health complications. Yeah. You might have autism for your child or something, or like real stuff. And so it's like, no, I don't. If I can prevent that from happening, where I can have healthy babies, I'm gonna do whatever I got to do to try to make that shit shake. Yeah. You know. So to that woman, sis, I ain't gonna play you like this is some easy cakewalk. It ain't. But I will say it's worth it. And I will say you will be happy that you did it. And I think it's an investment that I would recommend for any woman, especially women in the Black and brown community, especially knowing that only 3 out of 10 of us normally get married. So that's where I sit with it.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for sharing your story.
I wanted to share with you too, like men's perspectives, because like some guys have like talked to me about. I asked a couple of my guy friends, like, what do you want to know? You know what I mean? And some of them have shared with me like what they are interested in, and I find it to be interesting.
Okay.
So first off, yes, you're still fertile after you freeze your eggs. Like, you're not giving away your vagina and freezing it off and never going to be able to use it again. No, still works quite well, thank you. Um, Secondly, like, be aware of the fact that if she's acting a little crazy, it's not because she's actually crazy. It's
Hormones.
because the hormones are kicking in, and so she's not her normal self for a period of time. So just give her a little grace. You know, it's all good. She'll be back to normal a little bit. Just give her some time on that.
So, for the men out there that have questions about this process, some of the things that came across were: is it like a vasectomy? Can you reverse it? Is it like getting your tubes tied?
Okay, no, it's not like a vasectomy in the sense that, or tying your tubes, in the sense that this is not stopping you from getting pregnant, right? The intent is to preserve your pregnancy or your ability to get pregnant in the future, preserve your eggs. And so the procedure itself is where they're taking what looks like an ultrasound type tool and inserting it into your vaginal canal with a needle at the end of it, a very long extended needle, right? And so they're puncturing the sides of your vaginal wall to reach your ovaries and kind of suck the eggs, follicles out into a tube. So they're not going through your cervix, they're not going through your uterus, which holds a baby. All of that's preserved. You can still get pregnant, right? So it's not exactly the same as like a vasectomy or something like that. This is not to prevent you from getting pregnant. This is to allow you to get pregnant later on.
So, another question is your preference to get pregnant naturally or tap into your ovarian, your reserve, your egg reserve?
So, good question. That's a personal thing, right? For me personally, I do want to still have a baby naturally. I have a couple of them, 3 of them, or 2 in a possible, right? I am capable of doing that. I just don't want it right now, today, right? I'm not married. I want to wait till I'm married to do that. That's my preference. Um, but there could be a time where I change my mind. And so I have the option now, right? And if I get older and I'm in a position where something happens and I can't
When
conceive.
you get older, because we're going to keep living.
As I mature and matriculate throughout my life.
Yes.
You know, if something were to happen where I couldn't like have a child naturally, then that's an option. That's my plan B.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's my plan B. But this is naturally is my plan A.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's
Anything
yours?
else?
No. Okay. No. For all of those that have tuned in, first, thank you. And thank you, Kiana, for your courage and sitting in front of the camera and telling your story. For those that have questions or comments, we definitely want to hear from you. I think one of the things that I've heard Kiana say throughout this process is having a support community around you and not feeling like this is something you have to go through on your own is important. And you have options. Thank God for medical advances today for women that are in different stages of their lives. So definitely reach out if you have questions or you have comments or you want to know further information in terms of her process. But thank you.
Thank you, Mika. I love you.
I love you too, honey bun.
Appreciate it.
So talk a little bit about the mental strain of what you went through. There was a moment that you had on this journey, a moment you were in your car
Yeah.
I know it's a vulnerable time,
Yeah.
but
So yeah, there was a moment I felt like I was damn going crazy, right? I'm keeping a buck with you. The hormones will have you high and low. And I think that doctors need to talk more to their clients about the reality of that because, like I said, I'm a very even keel person. I'm super chill. I like to have a really good time. It takes a lot to get me super high and low, right? Coming off of the medications, especially, I mean, again, my estrogen started at 14. It was at 7,636. That is danger zone, right? Anything over 5,000 is of a concern. And so I had to call my mama. I remember I was driving and I was like, my mama and my sister, I was like laughing hysterically about something. I don't remember what had me laughing. Maybe some on Instagram. I don't remember. Something had me like tears rolling down my face, cracking up, hardcore laughing. And then all of a sudden I felt so sad. And I'm talking about like real life sad, like scary sad, right? Depression sad. And I was like, oh shit, what's this? Like, this isn't me. What's going on? Why do I, like, what's up? Why do I feel this way? And I got scared because I was like, this is not how I normally feel. Mm-hmm. So I pulled over and I wasn't feeling suicidal or nothing like that. It wasn't on that level. But I knew I wasn't feeling like myself. Mm-hmm. And I called my mom and my sister on three-way and I was like, listen, I need to talk to y'all because I am not myself right now and something is wrong. And my sister was like, it's okay. You know, she kind of walked me through it. She was like, I understand. You know, I've been there. My mom was like, it's because of the hormones. This is completely normal. You know, you're coming off of all of these medications that you've been pumping your body with now for the past few weeks. And you got to give yourself grace. And I needed to hear that. Doctors, I think, need to do a better job of telling you that shit. Because you go through a moment where you're like, yo, why am I feeling like a little weird, a little off? I'm not crazy. So what is going on? Why am I kikiing? And then 5 minutes later, I'm ready to cry. And then 5 minutes later, I'm super angry about something that, honestly, I never trip on. Why am I feeling this? And it is because of the medication. And it is normal to feel that. And you need to be told that that is normal and that that is a part of the process. And I'll be honest, going from, 32 follicles, potentially having 32 eggs that I was going to freeze, to only freezing 18 out of 19 that they were able to pull out, that shit made me mad. It made me sad and mad at the same damn time. Because I felt like, well, did you not get enough? Or were you supposed to get more? And the reality is, they didn't mature enough, But you feel these emotions, right? And then you also feel a little bit of sadness because you're like, man, that means the probability of my ability to have a child throughout these 18 eggs is lower than what it would have been with 32. Doctors say, and in this community I've learned, on average you want to have about 15 follicles or 15 eggs, frozen for like one child. And granted, you can maybe with one try get pregnant. So a lot of probability here, it could be, you don't need that, right? It could be multiples. It could be, so miracles happen every day. Things could happen. The average of what I've heard in the community is that normally you want about 15 eggs frozen. So I'm like, damn, 15. And I'm at 19. Ooh, barely made it for one, And so that may not even be the case, and I might be perfectly fine. But I'm just saying that to say emotionally, mentally, it takes you through a little bit of that roller coaster because you're feeling like, damn, I done spent all this money and I put in all this time. My body done went through all these changes. And I thought I was going to have 32 and be set. And that didn't happen. And so you have disappointment. It's natural. I think that doctors should do a better job of telling us the real, not just from a physical perspective of these are the medications you're going to take and it's only this period of time, and kind of downplaying stuff. Keep it a buck with us. Let us know, baby girl, you got 32 eggs. emotionally, you're going to go through some things. Mentally, it's going to weigh on you. Physically, your body is going to go through some changes over the next couple of weeks or month, and it is all normal. Tell us that and prepare us so that we are truly able to know what we're signing up for, and there aren't like surprises along the way. And so that we can educate our support system and let them know, hey, if I'm acting a little off, I'm good. Have my back, just rub my back. Okay, this one of the moments so-and-so having, but I got you. Oh, shut up. I was crazy. Thank you for having my back, Mika, when I was crazy, girl. I know I probably went off on you a couple times, but you know it's all love, though, because I love you. But you know, like, because you know me, right? Yeah. So you know it wasn't like, oh, Kiana on some shit. It was like, my girl is going through it right now, and this is a temporary thing. I'm going to have to forgive her, and I'm going to tell her about herself later on.
Later process. Yeah.
But, you know, like you know, give somebody some grace a little bit. So, yeah, doctors, do a better job with that. Let us know that we're going to go through it. And, like, not just the physical. Tell us the emotional and the mental, too, because that's important. For real. And then afterwards, once the hormones got out of my system, again, you got to flush your body, drink a lot of water, hydrate. After that, I felt like my normal self again, right? And I was like, damn, I was tripping.
Self-recognition.
You know, right. But you don't know, you can't control that when you've got all these hormones in your body.
Yeah.
It's just a part of the process.
Part of the process.
Yeah. So here is where I dispose of all my needles after I take my medication, my injections, the Ganirelix, which I have to do now in the morning time. Because this is the first day, they're telling me to do it immediately. Ganirelix is supposed to help with breakthrough ovulation so that I don't ovulate too soon, so we can preserve as many eggs as possible. And then, of course, an alcohol swab to sanitize the area. Got to do it in my abdomen again. Okay, so what they didn't tell me at the beginning of this process was that I was going to have to get an ovulation kit. Never got one of those before. Definitely used these before. So I'm now looking for ovulation kits, and all I see are a bunch of pregnancy tests. The one ovulation kit I did find is freaking $30. I see another one that's $70. What the hell? Like, are you kidding me right now? So I'm going to see where else I can try to find an ovulation kit, because I only need to pee on a stick one time. These things got like 20 tests in there. I know when I normally ovulate, but when you're doing this process, apparently you've got to do your trigger shot and pee on the stick within a certain period of time to find out, did the shot work? So just get the kit when you can. Okay, it's 8:30 p.m. I've been icing my stomach. It's time to do my trigger shot, which is Lupron. I am excited and nervous. Ooh. I'm excited and nervous at the same damn time. I'm dropping stuff. Okay, I gotta get it together. Let me get another cleansing pad. I done iced my stomach. I'm about to do this Lupron. This is the trigger shot. Okay, gotta take this whole thing. It's 80, what you calls. Oh, I'm not getting anything out of here. It looks full though. I might not want to fool. So I just iced my stomach, did my alcohol. The Lupron looks full. I'm just gonna inject it because I don't want to fuck around and mess up. Oh God, okay. Okay. Okay, I'm injecting the needle. Oh my gosh, this is a lot. Okay, still injecting. All right. Trigger shot is done. Okay. All right. I'm about to throw this stuff away in my little vial. Surgery is Monday.